billionaire Jeffrey Skoll, who is one of the original founders of eBay, just bought a piece of the Wizards today. And it's interesting because there's a belief that Ted Leonsis, who their owner is, might be trying to buy the Washington Nationals. So just a little side note. But anyway, I got to say this about the Wizards. The Wizards might have a big three. Now, it's not, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, but don't look now. But Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, and Kristaps Porzingis are putting up huge numbers. And, a lot of people, including me, have questioned why Bradley Beal has been so willing to stay invested there. And they've made some trades in the last 2 years that have built this team up. Now, I don't know where they're going to be. But they're 20 games in. They're over 500. They've had a little bit of a favorable schedule so far in that they've had 3 more home games than road games, but they've had injuries just like everybody else. And Beal has been on the shelf a couple of times, including he had another bout with COVID. Poor Bradley, he's constantly getting COVID. I think this is the 3rd time he's had it at least. He missed the opportunity to go to Tokyo because he got COVID. But so Beal is he's not having one of his best seasons scoring wise because he's got more help. Quite frankly, he's averaging 24 points. He's flirting with 50, 40, 90 because he's shooting 53% from the field, 38% from 3, which we know he can shoot better. And he's shooting over 90% from the line. So he's having efficiency wise, one of the best years of his career. Kyle Kuzma has been red hot. And I've heard some rumors, and I've talked to some executives about some teams saying, oh yeah, they're trying to get Kuzma out of Washington. Various teams are trying to trade for Kuzma. I'm like, why would Washington trade him? Kuzma is on a great contract and he's producing at a very high level. Now look, he kind of ebbs and flows, but we know he's got the ability to defend. He doesn't always do it, but we know he's got the ability to do it. He's averaging 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 46% from the field. And he's extremely versatile. And frankly, as far as I know, he's a real likable guy in the locker room. He's a good guy to have on your roster.
Great guy.
His dress is a little bit strange, but look, what do you want me to say? I don't know.
I call it swag. He got swag.
No question.
He got
and
swag.
Then let's talk
different
about
swag, but he got swag.
It's different swag. Let's talk about Kristaps Porzingis has gone to Washington and been switched to center. That's the position that, they tried to make him sort of a power forward a lot in Dallas. Obviously was disappointing there, coming off the injuries. You're still worried about injuries, frankly. You're still worried about his knees. But he put up 41 on Monday night. He's averaging 21 points. He's having the best year of his career so far. He's averaging 21 points, shooting 47% from the field, averaging 8 rebounds, averaging, almost 2 blocks a game. And, they got a whole bunch of guys in their rotation who are really effective players. Denny Avida has become a significant, a real defensive player, they had a nice draft pick with, they made a nice trade there to bring in Monty Morris, and he's brought good stability to their team.
Barton.
Will Barton isn't actually playing that great, but
but he'll break out of it, I'm sure.
But Corey Kispert, who was a draft pick last year, he's shooting 43% on threes.
Rui.
Rui is, Rui's been up and down. He's, he was really away last year with a personal issue, and now he's got an ankle injury right now. And they've been without.
But they got some depth for once.
Yeah, and they've been without DeLon Wright, who has a bad hamstring injury, I think it's a hamstring injury. He's going to be out in a couple of months with that. But anyway, I just think Spears, the Wizards, they got 3 guys playing at a really high level, and they're putting up victories here. And in the Eastern Conference, where you got some teams underachieving, how about the Washington Wizards overachieving to this point?
It's funny. I got some friends that are big Wizards fans. I told them they're the only two that I know. my cousin Hasib and my buddy Troy, but they like give me all these Wizards updates all the time, and they're so excited right now, and I'm excited for the Wizards too, man. I don't know if there is a big market team in the NBA that has had less success than them, and some would say maybe New York. I posed this question to him the other day. I said, yeah, but the Knicks had a very successful 90s, right? In terms of a big market team, like it would be great for the NBA for Washington to be something. And I know Bradley's been patient. Porzingis, I think he's always shown if he's healthy, he could be a problem. But to me, the key has been Kuzma, man. Like when Kuzma plays well, they win. And he's doing a little bit of everything. Except he might start selling chicken with mambo sauce out there at the games pretty soon.
He's not shooting the three great. He's taking a lot of them. He's not shooting it great, but maybe that's just room for improvement, I guess.
Yeah, he had 9 assists the other day. I mean, he's I think that was the Lakers maybe kicking themselves a little bit for that amongst other things, but
that's been visited. Yeah. That's been revisited. Yeah.
But no, I'm really happy for Kuz that he's found a home at a place where he feels like appreciated, and I know the Wizards fans love him and his personality and game.
Yeah, they've the deal that they signed Beal to, it was $250 million or whatever it was with a no trade clause. Like it really put them into a box where, because if Beal does want to get traded at some point, he can control the trade. If he doesn't want to get traded for 4 first-round picks somewhere because the team he goes to will be hampered, he can say, I don't approve it. And it was a huge concession, because with some of the injury things that Beal has had, you're a little bit worried about that. And the Wizards have been burned with big contracts in the past. They got burned with Gilbert Arenas' big contract. They got burned with John Wall's big contract. I thought they would be hesitant. So, they get themselves to a point where they are ready to give Beal the full max, which meant they weren't going to trade him. They had to come to that decision at some point last year. And I mean, they didn't decide to give him the full max on July 1st. That decision was reached well before that. And to get that no trade clause was a huge thing. It's a huge thing that applies pressure to that franchise. And frankly, remarkable that Beal was able to get it. His agent, Mark Bartelstein, negotiating that. But Beal has done nothing but play in good faith for the Wizards. So I can understand why they felt like, I still wouldn't have given it if I were them, but it's easy for me to say that outside the negotiation, to be honest with you. But anyway, he got it. And so this team is under an amount of pressure to have success in the short term.
Yeah.
But the Westbrook trade, Westbrook got them to the playoffs. And then Westbrook wanted to be out of there. Okay. He went to the Wizards and said, please trade me to the Lakers. They were not able to run an open auction. They were able to make a trade with one team. And Tommy Shepard, their general manager, smashed that trade out of the park.
Yeah.
Smashed
shout
it.
Out, shout out to Shep. Shout out to Shep.
One of the all-time good guys in the NBA, and also probably the only NBA executive who lives on a horse farm.
Or that played college football.
Oh, good one. I don't know about that. Think about
that. He played linebacker in New Mexico State.
Yeah, so Kuzma and Porzingis are two guys that he traded for after the Westbrook situation, because I don't think Beal and Westbrook were like a pairing that was headed to Eastern Conference Finals, but it was a pairing that it took them a year, took them that whole season to figure out how to play together. They did. They make it into the playoffs. They were one of the better teams in the back third of that season. They had some momentum, and Westbrook pulled the plug on.
Yeah.
And it was a gift that Westbrook pulled the plug on it, to be honest with you. But what I don't think the Wizards were like looking to break that up.
Do
And there was a
you
fear.
do
There
you
was a
see
fear that Beal would walk after Westbrook asked out.
you think Washington's going to do something to kind of, now they're feeling a little good, maybe get a little bit more depth or a little more?
Yeah, there's been some chatter about them looking at a guy like Jay Crowder. I'm pretty confident there's been some discussions between the Wizards and Suns. You know, we've been talking about Jay Crowder now for 2 months. It's obvious that it's a hard trade to pull off. You know, the Wizards have a bunch of guys who make decent salaries on their roster that they can use in trades. I do think that I mentioned earlier, Denny Avdia, I'm mispronouncing it. I'm sorry. He's kind of proven that he can be like an effective defensive player. He's got really good size. I don't think he's ever going to be a star. I mean, he's a lottery pick. You hate to come to that terms, but I do think he's got some value. There are people in the league who like Rui Hachimura. He has not been the player that I thought he would be. I was really high on him, and the team was too. I remember, you know, when he first got there, like the team was really trying to engage the Japanese market because they thought he was going to be a star there. He hasn't really, but you know, he does have some value. So I think there's a possibility that they could bring in another veteran, particularly if they can get what everybody wants, which is one of those 3-and-D guys.
You think Phoenix might want Jay? I mean, might want Rui?
Well, Phoenix has been what Phoenix has been looking for in return for a Jay Crowder deal is a power forward. So you can look at the roster and you can identify that maybe Hachimura would be a guy, but they haven't made the deal yet. So, you know, there hasn't been a connection there. But just the fact that they would Denny Avdia, as Jackson, our producer, is telling me. I botched it twice. Denny Avdia. You could sort of make, you know, to be honest with you, if I was Phoenix, now again, this is me speaking, this is not what I've heard, to be clear, I'd be interested in Avdia. I am interested in what he can do defensively, but I haven't heard that. I just have heard that those two sides have talked. So but yeah, so let's keep an eye on Washington. They're on the radar. And also want to point out, we don't know the results of the MRI that are going on this morning back in Minnesota. Karl Towns went down in Washington on Monday night. Hopefully good news later. I know Woj reported that the initial testing looked like he avoided serious injury, which I assume is code for they don't think it's the Achilles, because if you saw the play, did you see the play, Spears?
Yeah.
Karl was running up the court and falls down and immediately turns around and looks for someone behind him.
Yeah.
And that is the textbook situation that you often see in an Achilles tear.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're super worried about when you see that. That's what every Timberwolves fan was worried about. So Woj reporting that they hope that he avoided serious injury. They didn't say this, but it implies that maybe they think that he avoided an Achilles tear and that maybe it's a calf strain, which, by the way, that's not good. No. A calf strain is an injury that can set you back weeks, if not months. Yeah. But if you're choosing between one or the other, it's pretty obvious. So hopefully by the time this pod comes out, there's positive news.
Hey, Brian, can I give you some respect, man? And this isn't a shameless plug for you or anything. Or maybe it is. But one thing I do like about this podcast is you talk about you don't talk about the obvious or the popular. You talk about what's relevant. So I don't know if this matters to you at all, but no, I like that, man. Like, ain't nobody else talking about the Wizards or the Pelicans or like.
we have like 3 a week.
Like, yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like it's easy to talk Warriors. It's easy to talk Lakers all the time.
We did lead the pod that came out on Monday with the Lakers.
I get it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.